Hello, guys, and welcome back to the Unfiltered Feed podcast. This is our IPL 2026 retention special, part 3 of 5. So, we have already covered 4 teams, and now it's time for the next two, which will be the Mumbai Indians and the Kolkata Knight Riders, as you've seen on the thumbnail. So, before we dive into it, let us welcome Yash. So it's not been a long time since we last talked. So how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Very excited today because we are covering one of my most favorite teams and hopefully yours as well. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, it certainly was my favorite team for quite a while. So before we move into this, I would like to thank our viewers for a couple of things. First of all, the reach has been slowly but steadily increasing, especially the shorts. I've noticed that the last few I've done quite well, and we have been getting good response in the form of likes and a couple of comments as well. Uh, so thank you for that. And if you have any feedback, please feel free to uh, make sure that it reaches to us. Don't just like while you're watching, just say, "अरे यार ये करना चाहिए था." But just actually take the effort to comment so that we'll know where we can improve and come back stronger.
Yes, very happy with the progress that we are making at the channel. And I also want to give a shout out to Ved himself because the amount of hard work he's doing and he's putting in every single day is really good because there is a lot of editing, thumbnail designing, adding those sound effects, and the shots in general are highly edited, so that takes a lot of time. And doing that with while managing the busy schedule is really commendable. So a big thanks to him as well. And as we grow, I'm sure we'll put in more effort.
Yeah, so on that note, let us now move to our main topic. So I think it only makes sense to begin with Mumbai Indians because we've been waiting for this for quite a while. So let us start. So the players that they retained were no surprises there. Jasprit Bumrah, Suryakumar Yadav, Hardik Pandya, Rohit Sharma, and Tilak Varma. Those were the five, all five superstars of Indian cricket. Especially the first four, you can't really value one higher than the others, and that is what I might try to do as well. Though they gave 18 crores to Bumrah, which is, uh, I mean, you have to do that to keep him happy. Uh, But the other three, Suryakumar Yadav, Hardik Pandya, and Rohit Sharma, pretty much at the same price of around 16.5 crores. So let us go all the way back to that decision. Do you think you would have done anything differently with the pricing?
I think I would have done what the management had done originally. So this is something that Rohit Sharma or one of his PR, let's say, or I mean, someone said this that Rohit Sharma was the person who asked the management to give Bumrah slightly more because I think initially they had planned to give everybody the same, as we mentioned, I think around 17.5 crores or something. But Rohit Sharma decided, or he asked the management to value Bumrah slightly higher because he's obviously the best bowler in the world, not just India. So he deserves that money. And he also decided to promote or like demote himself by 5 lakhs just to show his
Hmm.
respect for Hardik Pandya and Surya Kumar Yadav who are still playing for India. whereas Rohit Sharma is retired, so he didn't want to value himself as much as them. So that's a nice gesture from him. But if I was the management, I would obviously propose valuing all of them the same because that's exactly how they are for the team. No one player is more valuable, but all of them are equal. But then if they want to do something mutually, then they're free to do that. And I think that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, so they had a very solid base with these five, uh, a couple of batters, a world-class all-rounder, and a premium fast bowler. So they had all bases covered, and then the only thing you can wonder is how did they end up third?
Before
So that
that,
is where
I,
the
I just wanted to ask you this. They obviously had a lot of other superstars in the team as well. And one name that comes to mind is obviously Ishan Kishan, who has been playing with them or who was playing with them since 2018. Do you think they made the right decision to pick Tilak Varma over him, or was there any other player you think they should have considered? Because they picked only five and they could pick six. So do you think they missed out on any one player that they should have picked?
I think if they had to pick the sixth, it really had to be an uncapped player. So I think the options were down to someone like a Nehal Vadhera, who could have been a good pick, but I don't think he would have agreed to come in at that price. So that's why the five. Uh, and I think Ishan Kishan also would have been a bit tough to accommodate within their budget. And what I felt is that they picked the player with a higher ceiling because Ishan Kishan has already shown his potential and he's not that bad to be honest. He's pretty good, but I think Tilak Varma, uh, I personally feel that has a lot more to offer in the long run, and I think that's why they went with him.
Yeah, I agree. More than the potential, I think it's about replaceability. I think Tilak Varma is an Indian middle order batsman, and there are not many options. Because I think the only other batsman that comes to mind who is that good is probably Shreyas Iyer. But we all knew that he would go big. Maybe KL Rahul is an option, but he also opens mostly. So Tilak Verma is someone who's not very easy to replace, even with foreign players. So I think that's why they went with him. Whereas if you look at opening wicket-keeper batsmen, there are lots of them, not just in India but also internationally. And that's exactly what happened because they picked Ryan Rickelton for a much lower price than what they could have retained Ishan Kishan for. So I think that was the right move from them.
Yeah, and that's a perfect segue talking about Ryan Rickelton to move into the auction picks. So I think they had a lot of players pinpointed before the auction started, and you could sense that there are certain kind of players that the management were looking at, and they did end up getting quite a few of them. The most expensive buy was Trent Bolt for 12.5 crores, and maybe you can share your screen
Yeah,
if you
sure.
have it.
I think for Mumbai, since they had already used majority of their purse in the retentions, they had to buy smartly because they didn't have the money to compete with teams like Punjab or RCB who were going in with I think 80 or 70 crores. MI and RR had only I think 44 or 45 crores in the purse. So they could only
Yeah,
go with one or two big purchases and they did that with Trent Bolt and Deepak Chahar. I totally understand Trent Bolt because that's exactly what they missed in the previous seasons. The bowling was they didn't have any big names other than Bumrah, and I think they had the South African pacer. Um, I forgot his name, but he too was not experienced. So they were lacking a
Cozy.
lot of Gerard Coetzee. Yeah. They were lacking a lot of experience. They obviously went for Jofra Archer, but that didn't end up working. So they had to go for an experienced bowler who could assist Bumrah in the power play. And Bolt, having played for MI, he's one of the best options.
Yeah, and uh, he was someone who would really suit his style of play would suit the Wankhede conditions,
Yeah,
swinging in the new ball. And I think for a large part of the season he did do decently, at least in Mumbai. I remember him in quite a few games getting wickets in the power play, which he's always been known for.
yeah.
So do you think he was, in hindsight, worth the price tag, or do you think it could have been a better deal for MI?
To be honest, I think Trent Bolt was worth the money because I remember the last home game that they played against Delhi, and they were defending around 180, which wasn't a very big total. And Bolt, he came in and straight away dismissed KL Rahul in the first over. So those kind of spells, not just this, apart from that, I think against RR, if I'm not wrong, he I think got a 3-4 or 4-4 where he dismissed Jaiswal cheaply. And even against SRH, he did a good job. So I think he's delivered enough. Obviously, he went for runs in some games, but that's expected with the kind of the kind of brand or the brand of cricket that the IPL is evolving into. But I think Bolt had his own uh, contributions that make him worth the 12 and a half crores. What do you think?
Yeah, the only thing that bugged me about this buy was that he's not exactly getting any younger. So
Yeah,
while his experience is handy, but I think it could have been a bit lesser the money for someone like Trent Bolt, and had maybe if it was a younger bowler or someone who with a more future potential, like maybe Marco Jansen, I think I would have liked to spend that much money on someone like him. But still, I think the performance was there. But I would like to see how long can he sustain himself in the tournament.
yeah, that makes sense.
And then, of course, uh, they really doubled down on the fast bowling with Deepak Chahar. 9.25 crores there. Uh, I was sure that he wasn't going to last for all 14 games, and that was pretty much right. He did miss a few in the middle, and I remember him famously in that last over against Gujarat at Wankhede where he had to defend on I think around 10 or 11, and he couldn't. Uh, I think he did perform well in a couple of games, but surely not what you expected him to do.
Yeah, that's true. And I think the moment they picked Deepak Chahar uh, during one of those interviews in the auction, the management did mention that they were looking at his death bowling ability as well. And that's exactly when I realized that they've kind of gone for the wrong man because that's exactly what happened. The moment he was introduced to bowl in the death, he went for big runs. But in a lot of games, if I'm not wrong, he got done with his 3 overs within the power play, and he was actually quite economical. But then there was always that 1 over when he came back in the death when he went for runs, and that was also what cost the game against Gujarat. So I think they trusted him with a bit too much. They expected a bit too much from him, and as you said, he's injury prone. So I was genuinely scared because it spent 9.5 crores, and I was worried that if he didn't turn up for the IPL, then it would have been a big issue. But at least he played a few games and he did well in some of them. So I don't think he's worth all of this money, but I think he did contribute.
Yeah. And then the other big buys included Namandhir. They bought him back. I think that was a very good move.
Yeah,
They surely couldn't miss out on both Nehal and Naman, both pretty much made in the MI factory. So they had to have one of them back at the very least, and they got Naman for quite a hefty amount. But I think when he's someone who has got the potential, and he did perform really well in a few games towards the back end of the tournament.
yeah. I think they RTM'd him, so they actually believe in him. So he's one for the future.
Yeah. And then Allah Ghaznfar was pretty much a bet on the potential again, but he didn't show up because of an injury. So uh, he will be a very, very valuable asset next year. That's what I believe.
Yeah,
And then they had a couple of steals in Mitchell Santner and Ryan Rickelton, especially Ryan Rickelton, because I had expected a lot more demand for him, considering his SA20 performance, and he's been pretty consistent for the last few months,
yeah.
even in the lead up to the auction. So that was a good steal,
I
and they
think,
got a
yeah, I think with
like
Ryan
for like,
Rickelton, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
and they got a someone who can really replicate what Quinton de Kock did for them in his glory years.
Yeah, with Ryan Rickelton, I think MI got lucky because he came quite late into the auction. I think he was introduced on the second day, if I'm not wrong. So by that time, I think most of the other teams already had their opening pair pretty much sealed. Whereas I knew that MI were going to go for him because they hadn't picked any other opener. And since he also played for Mumbai Indians, I think the Cape Town franchise, they knew him pretty closely. And I think he played alongside De Kock, so they could compare both of them pretty well. So that was definitely a big steal for them. So very happy that they secured him for just 1 crore. But obviously sad for him, but happy for the team.
Yeah. And then I think that's pretty much all about the valuable players. They did get a few backups. Reece Topley, Lizard Williams. I don't think been too good picks, to be honest. They could have done better. And then Robin Mins, of course, another very impressive youngster, a wicketkeeper batter from Jharkhand, of course, the third of its kind, I believe, and the second with MI. So I think the rest of the squad is nothing much to talk about there, except for one man, who's Ashwani Kumar, who really stepped up in the absence of Deepak Chahar, and uh, I think he did well as a middle over wicket taker, which is a role that generally spinners play in most teams, but for MI, it was Ashwani. And I believe, and I remember whenever he was given the ball, Hardik Pandya and him had a quite a good connection, good sense. Hardik motivating him quite a lot, and he used to deliver all the time, which was really good for someone playing the first season. Another bowler from Punjab and another good player from Punjab rather. So I just feel that Mumbai Indians have set up a factory in Punjab as well. Just keep importing players from there. So, what did you make of him?
Yeah, as you said, he was someone who instantly delivered. I think he picked a wicket of his first ball in the IPL against KKR. And since then, whenever he would come in, he would either bowl a pretty economical over or he would just take a wicket, which was very helpful. He obviously went big in the qualifier against Punjab, but that was Shreyas Iyer. One more player that I would like to give a shout out to is Karan Sharma because he's an experienced cookie. So most people thought that he was past his prime, and he is. But he's still. I think he was the reason for the resurgence of MI because if you remember that match against Delhi, where they were down and out because Karun Nair, for for some reason, he was in his prime form, and he decided to smash MI and specifically Jasprit Bumrah, which was very
Yeah,
irritating to watch, but obviously well played to
yeah.
him. But
And
then,
I've never seen Bumrah getting angry on the field. That's what
yeah,
he did too.
but I think in that game, Mitchell Santner obviously dismissed Karun Nair. But after that, I think Karan Sharma got a 3 for or a 4 for, and he was the impact sub. So he wasn't even in the starting 11. But he came in, dismissed the likes of KL Rahul, Akshar Patel, all of them for cheaply. And MI ended up winning that game, and that kind of got them the momentum. And they went on to win the next 5 games on the bounce, which took them through to the playoffs. So Karan Sharma, obviously, he has a very good IPL record as well of winning the titles. So hopefully they retain him, and next year he can help the team win.
Yeah, and he is pretty similar to Piyush Chawla, in a way that he looks very, very old and in a way uh, past his prime, but he's not that old.
Yeah,
So I think he can serve MI for at least a couple more seasons. And I think that brings us to players that you would like to see them release and make up some funds
yeah.
before the
Before that,
auction.
I just wanted to kind of speak a bit about their philosophy because as Mumbai Indians in the past, they've always had a particular style of players that they played in the playing 11. For example, they've never gone big on spinners, be it Indian or foreign. But this year they went for Mit Santner and Allah Ghazanfar. So ideally they would be playing both these players in the side, along with one of Will Jacks or Rickleton, and obviously Trent Bolt. So that was a very interesting setup that MI had. And secondly, I think the biggest thing that they fixed from 2024 was the bowling. Because in 2024 it was just Bumrah, and then there was literally nobody. You had Akash Madhwal, you had Gerald Kudzia, and then a few other players. Even the spinners were extremely inexperienced. So this year they've gone with tons of experience. So they have Bumrah, obviously the leader. Then you've got Trent Bolt, who's again a veteran of the sport. Deepak Chahar is an IPL legend. Hardik Pandya himself bowls a lot. And even the spinners that they had Karan Sharma and Mit Santner. So the bowling was very experienced, and I think it paid off because they won a few games that they shouldn't have won, or they took them very close thanks to the bowling. Um, so yeah, I think this is what MI should continue with. They should retain most of these players. But one thing that I wanted to ask you is with the batting, do you think they had too many top order players and they didn't really have a finisher aside from Hardik Pandya? Because if you look at this side, you have Rohit Sharma, Will Jacks, Ryan Rickleton, Namandir, Tilak Verma, Suryakumar Yadav. All these guys have done their best when they play in the top 3 or 4 positions. But then you have to make a team. So some of them had to kind of sacrifice that and play as a finisher with Hardik. That was mostly Namandir, who still did well, but he's a top order player. So you think they missed a trick there and what they could have done better?
Yeah, I think they did have that problem. A lot of top order players, but to be honest, Will Jacks, I think they won't have that problem next year because Will Jacks has been molded into that finisher role, even with the English side. He's been seen as a replacement of Liam Livingston.
Okay.
So in that sense, I think they're sorted because Jacks and Hardik can do the finishing and you can have Naman slot in somewhere there. But the problem they had this year was, I think, more than the imbalance was that the inconsistent batting orders. I think
Yeah.
uh, they didn't really have a set template. They thought of going with the flow of the game and just rearranging the batting order, but what that meant was no player was really uh, given a chance to get set into the role that they play. You had Tilak Verma come in at three some games, or being pushed as low as six or seven in others, and even Will Jacks, he began at three, then was pushed down. So there's a lot of shuffling over there. Even Surya Kumar Yadav for that matter. So once they found that towards the end, I think they really did better as a batting unit, giving role clarity to someone like a Namandhir to come in at six or seven and Tilak Verma at the top. I think that is what they need to fix next year. So yeah, I think they won't have a problem because a couple of the top order players are being settled or are being molded as lower order players.
Yep, that's true. I think with Tilak Verma, obviously he got a very less game time. He's someone who should be playing at number 3 or 4, but they had Will Jacks and Suryakumar Yadav playing at those positions, and I think in some games like the one against RR in Jaipur, Hardik Pandya himself promoted himself to number 4. So I think that was a golden chance for Tilak Verma to come in and score some runs. And he's someone who can't really hit from ball one. He needs some time to get set and get used to the conditions, and then he can start smashing. Uh, I mean, he can hit from ball one, but that's not his best game. So when he plays at number 5 or 6, it kind of goes against his comfort zone. So that's something that they need to fix. But let's move to the next year then. Out of these players, who do you think they should release? Because there won't be a lot, I think.
Yeah, I think uh, one of the most obvious names comes to mind is uh, Deepak Chahar, and not because of his performance necessarily, but the price. Because 9.25 crores, I don't think he is worth that, even when he is at his best. I know it sounds a bit weird, but I think there is enough talent uh, that they can go for if he goes at a similar price in the auction. And if there's a good chance that he won't go this expensive in the auction.
Yeah.
So I think we can release him and buying back for something like 5 or 6 crores. And then, of course, maybe a couple of the smaller players like Reece Topley and Lizard Williams. I don't think Reece Topley in 2025, 2026 is a good buy because you've got so many good options. Not even talking about the price, just the name. Uh, they went for him as a replacement of Trent Bolt, but I think there are a lot of better players, and he too is really injury prone. So I don't see why you would have a backup to an injury prone player, someone who is also injury prone. So I think these are a few people I would drop.
Yeah, I agree with you. But I actually don't think that they will drop Deepak Chair. They should ideally, but I think Mumbai Indians, they bought him so that they could work with him in the off season because that's what they're known for. They have a world class facility where I think the likes of Jofra Archer, if I'm not wrong, uh, also was part. And I think there were a few other players who were injured during the IPL. I think Alzari Joseph is one name. He was
Mm.
injured in 2019, but he stayed back after the IPL and they made him fully fit and then let him go. So I think that's something exciting for them. I hope they've worked with him. throughout the year. And if that's the case, then they won't release him. They'll keep him for one more season and then take a call. But I agree with the likes of Lizard Williams or Reece Topley because they're worth 75 lakhs, which is not that much, but it's still worth something. So they would probably want to get better options. And now that I
Yeah,
think of it, we missed one player, which is Vignesh Puthur, who played for them in the first few games. And I think he kicked off the season really well against CSK.
and then got kicked off himself with an injury.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then talking about potential buys uh, for next year, I think they might look at an Indian pacer because they don't have quite a few options, and one foreign pacer as well. So the best names that straight away come to my mind are Jaden Seals. I think a lot of teams will have an eye on him because he's been very good.
Yeah.
And if they want a left-arm pacer, maybe someone like Nandre Burger at 1KD, he could really generate the bounce.
Yeah.
So those two, and in terms of Indians, maybe Vidwat Kaverappa. I think I talk about him in every episode, but he is genuinely a very talented bowler.
Yeah. You've been talking about him for the past few years now. I remember this. I agree. If they do release Deepak Chahar, then they'll obviously need to replace him. And they'll have a decent amount of money to do that. And one player who I wish they go for, if he's released obviously, is Mohammad Shami. Because I think SRH is not very happy with his performance. He didn't do so well for them. And
Hmm.
he was quite expensive as well. So Mohammad Shami, if he's in the auction, I think MI should go all in for him. Because that's a dream opening bowling lineup. You've got Trent Bolt on one side, Mohammad Shami on the other side. Both of them are kings of swing. And then you've got Hardik as well, who can come in and bowl in the power play. And that then completely frees Bumrah because you can rely on Bolt and Shami and then Hardik as well. So that will be the best scenario. But then there's, I think, other players as well. I think they can look at Shardul Thakur because he's a Mumbai boy as well, and he can
Hmm.
add some more batting depth. And he was unsold last year, so there's a high chance that he might be back in the auction this year, and he might go for less price. But when it comes to international pacers, I'm not really aware of most of the current bowlers. I think the ones you mentioned are someone that they can look at.
Yeah, and even just to give you another name, I think Mohsin Khan could be a very good option if he is uh, injury free. I don't really know his status right now, but I think he is someone tailor made for these conditions as well.
But he's more injury
Especially,
prone than Deepak Chahar, so that's a
yeah.
big risk.
So I think he is, for his personal benefit, he is better off staying at Lucknow Super Giants because now that Bharat Arun has joined them, there's a lot of hope for me personally that the Pacers group over there, which was collected by Zahir Khan, and now he's left them stranded. Hopefully, Bharat Arun can pick them up and take them to new heights like he did with the Indian pace attack.
Wasn't he with KKR as well last year? So he
Yeah,
jumped ship.
he
That's
he left.
we'll talk more about them obviously in the next episode and about KKR in the following about Lucknow I meant in the following
Yeah,
episodes. Uh, so yeah, I think there are also rumors that MI is looking to get Ishan Kishan and release Rickelton, but that doesn't make sense because Ishan Kishan will be expensive and Rickelton is literally for 1 crore and he did a pretty decent job last year considering that it was his first time playing in India. And I'm pretty sure he'll only get better from here. Plus, it's a T20 World Cup year, so I'm sure they will be preparing more. And I think he's coming to India. I'm not sure if he'll play, but he'll obviously be
Yeah.
preparing for these conditions. So I think they should give him one more year. And I think with Ishan Kishan, the ship has sailed. They should let him do well at other teams and not really collect all the Infinity Stones again, because we saw what happened when they brought back Hardik. That itself was a big nightmare. And now the dust has settled. So I don't think they should go for another trade. They should trust the players that they have right now.
Yeah. So winding up Mumbai Indians topic, I think we can talk about a couple of players to look out for next season from this current bunch. Of course, we did mention Vignesh Puthur and Ashwani Kumar already, but one man who I'm not sure if we will get to see him, but we should in an ideal world, and his name is KL Shrijit. He's a very, very good wicket-keeping batter from Karnataka. So I don't know what capacity he can play in the playing 11, but he's he is one for the future. If not with MI, at least if he can grow as a player with them and then perform for other teams. We've seen quite a few examples of that with MI. So he's one man who I want to see performing in the IPL very soon.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I've heard a lot about him. I think he was part of our under 19 setup as well. So I've heard a lot of things. And obviously he's KL, so he has to be good. One player that I'm excited for, obviously, is Rohit Sharma, because now that he doesn't play international cricket, or at least majority of it, plus he's regained his fitness, and we saw what he did in Australia. So I think he's coming for the orange cap in 2026. So I've already predicted Jaiswal for it, but I think Rohit he will be MI's top scorer, and MI will have a good season this time where he'll top score, because the last time he did that they were last. But I think this time they'll qualify. They might even fight for the title, and Rohit will be the leader of the batting attack at least.
So you're leaving me with quite a few predictions to come back to once the IPL starts. So I think we can now finally move on from Mumbai Indians and go to the next team, which is Kolkata Knight Riders. They ride it only in the night this year. So really,
The defending
one of
champions,
the more,
obviously, going into this year,
yeah,
they didn't play like
and one
once.
of the more lifeless franchises this year, to be honest.
The biggest disappointment. I mean, we'll obviously come back to this, but the moment they released Shreyas Iyer, Phil Salt, and Mitchell Stark at the same time, that and Gautam Gambhir as well, I think that was the end of their success, because these three players were the pillars of their success in 2024, and they lost all of them in the same year, which was a big blow.
Yeah, and I remember in the last cycle in the mega auction, they had to retain a few, and that's where they preferred Venkatesh Iyer over Shubman Gill, and it in a way haunted them for a long time. It still haunts them. And this time, yet again, they had a choice to make, and yet again they chose Venkatesh Iyer. This time in the auction, though, but still, and yet again he disappointed them. So, uh, obviously, we'll come to his prize and performance and all of that. But before we start, I would like to mention that they have now sacked, or rather, the previous coach Chandu Pandit,
Chandrakant Pandit.
Scissorman. Yeah, he has left the setup and he's been replaced by Abhishek Nair as the head coach. So, whatever we say now, जो भी बोलोगे सोच समझ के बोलना from Aman Gupta.
Yeah, that's a very good
Yeah,
news. Abhishek Nair, I think, is one of the most smartest cricketers, and a lot of players respect him. He was obviously with the Indian setup as well, so I'm very happy, and I hope they'll do well under him. But I also expect a
yeah,
lot of surprises from them ahead of the retentions.
yeah. He's one of the biggest examples of you need not be highly skillful to have a good understanding of the game. He wasn't the best of players, but he knows what players need, and that's what he gives them. We have seen more than enough of him to know how good a man manager he is.
Yeah, so let's talk about their retention. And this is where the problems start already. As I said, they didn't retain their best players, but at the same time, they retained Russell and Naren each for 12 crores and Rinku Singh for 13 crores, which is understandable. And it's a big upgrade for him because I think he was playing for 75 or 80 lakhs before.
Yeah,
So from there to 13 crores, that's a big jump. But do you agree with retaining Sunil Naren and Andre Russell for 12 crores at at the fag end of their career now?
yeah, I do understand that they have quite a lot of attachment with Sunil Narine and Andre Russell. They've been playing for the Knight Riders all their lives, so it is difficult to move on. But I think at some point the owners need to take that step, and there's no better time than now. You tried, but I mean they always come back somehow and deliver. We saw that in 2024. So I wouldn't be surprised if they still back them for another season,
Yeah,
but I think it, it surely can't go on for longer. You have to find new people. So, but I personally feel that they shouldn't, but my mind says that they will continue with Naren and Russell for another season. I think they'll want to give a shot with Abhishek Nair at the helm, uh, to see if he can extract something from them. They, one thing to look is Sunil Narine should not be treated as a opener. I know he delivered for them in 2024, but once you start thinking of him as a reliable batter, that's when the problem starts. You start expecting too much from him, and I don't think he's someone who really thrives under that sort of expectation of delivering or trying to be one of your better players. When he's set free and when he's not given any uh, role to perform, he's just a free flowing hitter. That is when he truly shines. You saw that
yeah,
in 2017 and you saw that in 2024. So I think that's the communication part which they have to do.
yeah. You can't rely on him as a proper batsman. You have to consider his runs as bonus, and then the others have to do their job.
Yeah. And then I think Harshit Rana and Ramandeep Singh are actually not too bad of deals, both for 4 crores. There has been a lot of talk about Harshit Rana in the recent past and how Gambhir actually delayed his debut so that KKR could have him as a uncapped player. But all said and done, for 4 crores, I think Harshit Rana is quite a good deal and he will perform, that's for sure.
Yeah, but at the same time, he can't be a lead bowler because that's what he was this time. Last year, Mitch Stark was the lead bowler and Rana was the number two or number three alongside Vaibhav Arora. But you can't have Harshit Rana as the lead bowler and then others who are playing around him. So they kind of just messed messed up big time in the auction. Plus, they didn't have a lot of money. Sorry, the retention. Plus, they ended up retaining six players, so they didn't have a lot of money as well. So they kind of, I don't know how they messed this up. This was very, very strange from them.
Yeah, and talking about that mess up, let us move on to their auction itself, which really was set off track with the Venkatesh Iyer buy. They went as big as 23.75 crores for him, and that too on RTM. They got him from
No, they didn't have
RCB.
any RTMs left because they retained
Okay,
all six players. So they had to buy him for this price.
and I don't know why or how did the bidders not realize that they were so obviously overspending on Venkatesh Iyer. 15 crores would have been at max the amount I would have paid, and that is also being a bit generous with him. But 23.75 is just too much for someone who hasn't really done enough to justify that kind of trust shown.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the philosophy or the logic was to make him the captain and make him the icon, or like the poster boy of the team. Similar to how teams like RR have had Sanju Samson or Punjab bought Iyer, Lucknow bought Pant, but it backfired because 23.75 crores is a lot of money, and that pressure kind of got to him, and he couldn't really perform with the bat, and then there was no question about making him the captain. So I'm actually happy that they went for Rahane and made him the captain, because if Venkatesh Iyer was the captain and they started off the season like that, then I think that would have gone even more terribly for them.
Yeah, but at the same time, I thought that now that you have shown trust in Venkatesh, why not go the full distance? Unless he himself conveyed to them that he's not ready for captaincy. And maybe he was being groomed under Rahane, and now you'll see him being launched as the poster boy. Uh, because otherwise, if that is not their approach, there's no way you want to retain him at that price. So
You might as well pay this
I
much
don't,
to Shreyas Iyer. He would be more than happy to come back.
yeah. And in fact, he did get the kind of money he was demanding, just that another franchise benefited from that. So shame on, not shame, but Venki did really take the blame.
And if you look at that, apart from these guys, the team is full of players who are past their prime. You've got Anrik Nokia, who has again battled with injury and is not now consistent in the South African lineup. Quinton de Kock obviously had retired and now he's back, but again he's past his prime. Spencer Johnson isn't doing the best. I've heard of him. He's a decent bowler, but again, not a gun lead of the pack bowler. Moeen Ali again 2 crores. He's a good buy, but again not playing international cricket anymore. Same with Ajinkya Rahane. So this team is just they lack a lot of. There's no player who's in the peak apart from the bowlers. Where you have Varun
Mhm.
Chakravarti, Sunil Narine, who's always in his peak. Apart from that, there's no one who's like the main performer who you can build the team around. They hoped Venkatesh Iyer would be the player, but he wasn't. But they didn't have any other backups for it.
Yeah, and I think this is a kind of a roster that in a couple of years' time you could pass this off as a Abu Dhabi T10 League team and no
Yeah.
one would bat an eye.
Or you
So
could give
that's
this team to MS Dhoni and he would win a title with it. But only he can do that. And they tried. I don't think they copied that template, but they ended up doing that and it didn't work for them.
yeah, They also didn't really have a lot of players to begin with in the squad. It was a pretty small squad, which is not the best of ideas when you've got a lot of people past the prime because you can't really trust on someone to deliver and you'd always need backups. That is exactly what they didn't do. So I think they also wanted to get something out of Umran Malik and he too got injured and they had to replace him with Chetan Sakaria and Manish Pandey was not to be seen for most parts of the season. Rahmanullah Gurbaz as well. So it's a very jumbled up squad, and I'm actually surprised that they managed to end up at seventh place
Yeah,
and not lower.
yeah, that's actually true. I think they won a few games in the middle of the season where I think Ajinkya Rahane played really well for them. So yeah, as you said, they got a bit lucky, but I think they need a lot of correction to be made. So it's going to be a tough time for Abhishek Nair, but I hope he can do it because I believe in him.
Yeah. So talking about the players that they will release, who are the ones do you think?
I think they should say goodbye to Andre Russell first of all. Sunil Narine, obviously, he did well for them last year. He wasn't at his best, but he still bowls those four economical overs and can do something with the bat. But Russell, I think, is now too old for the IPL. A lot of the bowlers have identified how to keep him quiet. So I think he'll obviously play good in one or two games, but that doesn't really justify the 12 crores that you're paying. Or you can at least buy him back for lower price in the auction. And then you obviously have to release Quinton de Kock or Gurbaz, one of them. You don't need two keepers. You have to release Norkia. I would release Venkatesh Iyer and buy him back. But knowing Abhishek Nair, I don't think he'll do that. I think he will keep Venkatesh and
Hmm.
he'll do well for them. And then I would probably also release Umran Malik, Manish Pandey, all these players. Just try to get as much purse as possible going into the auction. And I think there were also a couple of rumors that they're looking to buy they're looking to trade one of Sanju Samson or KL Rahul, and that would really help them because they need that one iconic batter who can also lead them. Because right now the batting order is very poor. So either one of those trades would help, or going into the auction with a lot of purse so that they can buy a good batter. That should be the strategy.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, if they were to release Andre Russell, someone like uh, David Miller could be a good fit, or even for a top order batter, Cam Green, if they get enough money. But I don't think that will happen unless they release Venkatesh Iyer.
Yeah,
So they have to basically trust Abhishek Nair to mold Venkatesh Iyer into a Cam Green kind of a player.
I think with the batting order, Ajinkya Rahane has been doing well. They should keep him. Moeen Ali has done pretty well, but I don't know how good he'll be because he doesn't play a lot of international cricket now. But he did well for them. So I think they can keep these two players. I don't think I have a problem with Gurbaz to open with Rahane. And Venkatesh Iyer, I think he'll be kept. So you have a decent top four there. You basically need a good finisher and a middle order batsman with Rinku Singh. And then the bowling has to improve a lot because they don't have a gun bowling or a gun foreign bowler now. Last year they had Stark, obviously. It's very difficult to replace him, but you can't replace him with Norkia or Spencer Johnson. You need to do better than that. So they should go for one of the top bowlers. Maybe Stark again, because I don't see him being retained by Delhi after what he did last year. So they can go
Yeah,
back for him. That's a outside option for them.
And of course, uh, maybe someone that they can look at is Ravi Bishnoi in the spin department if released, because I don't see anyone to complement Sunil Narine over
I mean,
there.
you have Chakravarti, obviously.
Oh, I missed that. Of course, yeah. So that is not a problem. So they could look at a decent overseas quick who's reliable. Noke and Spencer have been both very much injury prone as well. So you can't really trust them to be the leader of your bowling, as you mentioned. So again, Jaden Seals on a tacky Eden Gardens wicket could also be a good option. And maybe uh, I'm not sure how, but if they can get Sam Curran to replace Andre Russell, that could be a good option. He's young and his batting can be utilized better than what some of the other teams have done. So he can be a good option.
Yeah, I was also thinking of the new English bowlers, the new bunch that has come in. I'm sure most of them
Bradman,
will register for the auction. So I think KKR loves to go for an English player. They've had a few good ones. So they might go for one of the newer bowlers who no one has heard of.
yeah. So now moving on to the players that you look forward to next year. I think from this squad, it's tough to pick one, but who would you pick?
I think I would pick Venkatesh Iyer if he is retained because he was at an all-time low, but his salary was at an all-time high. So there was double pressure on him. But it would be nice to see him come back strong. But if there's someone who who hasn't done much for them, I think I would love to see how Harshit Rana improves because now that he's an Indian player in all the three formats, I think he would bring some of that experience to the KKR bowling lineup. So I'm excited to see how these two players improve or how they turn up after a disastrous 2025 season.
Yeah. Uh, and I think one mistake that they constantly kept on making last year was overloading their batting and really not giving enough chances to someone like a Ramandeep Singh
Yeah,
and even Rinku Singh. I remember Ramandeep constantly coming in at as low as number 9. So he's one man I would like to see given a better role. I think defining roles is something Abhishek Nair seems to be pretty good at. So uh, I don't see them really needing extra batting depth just because they are playing Sunil Narine at the top. They just feel that they are obligated to play the extra batter all the time, and that's where they messed up a lot last year. So one player I'm looking forward to seeing is Ramandeep Singh and how he's utilized because as far as I remember, he wasn't given much of a bowling role either. So he was basically just a
a floater.
missing, yeah, he didn't really
He
do
was
anything.
similar to that one player in 2019 who was only the wicket
Nikhil
keeper.
Naik,
He didn't bat, he didn't bowl. He was a pure wicket keeper.
yeah, long are the days gone where you not utilize one of the 11. I think wasting one spot simply is just too big a crime in 2025, and Abhishek will rectify it, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
So
and
yeah,
what KKR is doing is they are kind of trying to elongate the Russell Naren era for as much as they can. And this is something that even CSK have been famously doing by not releasing Dhoni. And you see what's happened to CSK now because not only are they playing bad, but there's a lot of confusion as to who's the leader and who's making the calls because on paper it's Gaikwad, but there's a lot of rumors that Dhoni still is the player who kind of approves which player to pick and which player to release. So similarly, if they are over reliant on Russell Naren, it's not going to pay off. So they should keep them in the squad, play them in a couple of games here and there, use their experience, but they should start building their own match winners now, who can take the team forward for years to come.
Yeah. So very little time for Abhishek Nair and a lot of work to do uh, before the before they have the deadline, which is 15th of November, and he swore in as the head coach only
Yesterday
earlier
or
this week.
day before,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm sure he was in contact with the team before he was announced. Otherwise, it would
He
be a
was
disaster for him.
he was obviously the mentor as well. I think he took that post midway during the last season, so he has some
Yeah.
idea of the team, but obviously he wasn't involved in the retentions, so he has to kind of take or inherit the mess from the from the previous management, and now he has to do his best to correct it.
Yeah. So we hope that he does that in whatever capacity he can. So before we end this episode, uh, I think we talk a little bit about what's coming up on this channel. We've got the weekly episode, which will come out before the World Cup final, the Women's World Cup final. We will talk about that. And one more thing that I would like to cover in the near future is the Women's Premier League retentions as well, because you've got a mega auction coming up and there are 5 retentions per team,
Oh,
and there aren't many teams to talk about there, so maybe we can have a quick word on each of those teams in a future episode.
yeah, sure. I think the WPL has done its job because the very next World Cup after the WPL was launched, India have made it to the final. So we have to give its give WPL its credit and talk more about it.
Yeah, and what is ironic is that the WPL, which is played in the T20 format, and the Indian team has played 2 T20 World Cups since the inception and haven't done anything notable there. But the first ODI World Cup that they play, they have done it. So it's a culmination of years of understanding how to lose and then trying to make sure that they don't make those mistakes. I think they've gathered enough information now to remain calm under pressure.
Yeah,
Hopefully, it was not a one-off, and they will lift the trophy on Sunday.
you'll
And
obviously
I think a
talk more
lot
about
of,
this in the weekly podcast, but yeah.
yeah, I would just like to conclude by saying that generations will change
And that
once we win.
exactly was what Sachin Tendulkar said. And people like you laughed when I told you this. And he did mention that this World Cup has the potential of being the 1983 World Cup of women's cricket. And that's exactly what's happening. So salute to the god
Sachin wins
himself.
again. I remember him talking about Azmatullah Omarzai's seam position in the 2023 World Cup, and no one else picked that up at that time. And then few days later, he went on to rattle Australia in the famous Glenn Maxwell game. So he's always been ahead of the curve.
He also spoke really well about the sound of the ball of the bat of Prabhsimran Singh back in 2020. And back then we used to laugh at his claim, but now he's the one of the leading run scorers for Punjab in the IPL. So Sachin is Sachin. He's the god. He will be the god.
Yeah, so we began with MI and we end with the god of MI and Mumbai. So that's a perfect way to wind up this episode. And until next time, this is Ved signing off.
Bye.